Hi, welcome to Talking Books and Stuff, the program that talks all about books and writing and stuff. Here's your host, Dennis Rimmer.
Yes, another edition of Talking Books and Writing and Stuff. And I just flubbed the intro, but that's okay. We'll keep on going. Today with us from Eastern Saskatchewan, Priestville, Saskatchewan's very own Yvonne Rediger. Yvonne, how you doing these past few months? What with all the stuff that's going on?
Oh, not too bad, actually. Busy, lots of time to write because not much is going on. But
and you were on the Vancouver Island last time we talked, so now you're in Eastern Saskatchewan. Is there any special reason for the move, or?
Well, my husband's family is from here, and this puts me a couple hours away from my family, so it was kind of a good compromise.
There you go. That sounds good. And right now, Yvonne is ready and eager to tell us about her latest book. It's called Condo Crazy. And I got to tell you, for casual readers, if you pick up the book, what I always do is I read the first maybe paragraph or two. And chapter 1 of Condo Crazy starts like this. Arlie Birch squinted a glare at the Monday morning ferry. So now we already know that he's in an area, I'm assuming it's a he, in an area where there's ferry traffic. If you're from the West Coast, you know there's ferries all the time. And then the paragraph ends with, trouble was coming, he could feel it, and then he hasn't felt like this since his wife, sat him down to give him the bad news. So all of a sudden, in 2 paragraphs, Yvonne, you've done it, you've sucked us in. How did you do that?
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, Condo Crazy is the third novel in the Muscarive Landing mysteries. And this one kind of, each one kind of leads into the other. And this is kind of a progression into Gladys Wyatt and Arlie Birch is a little bit of an adventure there for them. Not so much for Arlie, because he's going to be featured a little bit more in the next book. But Gladys, who is his friend, and she's a senior lady, and she has bought herself a condo in a building that has gone up that we hinted at in the previous book, Fun with Funerals. And comedy ensues, but also a little bit of danger, mystery, and other shenanigans.
Shenanigans and malfeasance. So tell us about the Muscarive Landing series. Obviously, you've got another one planned, like you said. So what was the genesis of this whole series?
Well, we used to live in a little town called Crofton, and there is a ferry there that goes from Crofton across to Salt Spring Island, to Vesuvius. And there's a cafe that sits right beside it. And that's what gave me the idea. I actually knew the owner at the time of the cafe. Her name was Amy, and she was a very sweet lady, and we just get talking, and she was interested in writing, and I was interested in writing, and we used to get together and discuss things. And I said to her, would it offend you if I used your cafe as a linchpin for a mystery series? And she said, not at all. So away I went. So then that was the first one, Death and Cupcakes, and it takes place inside the cafe. Yeah.
So are these classed as cozies?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
And which is a very venerable traditional form of mystery writing. It's Miss Marple would be kind of a cozy, I would assume. Even lots of Agatha Christie books, and I think I've read every one of them. Especially as a teenager, I got into them as a kid, and I just couldn't put them down. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, of course, is a classic. Did you? And
of course, The Mousetrap.
Yeah. Well, I've never seen it, or I've heard about it though. It's probably still running in England, right?
Probably.
Yeah. So, as a youngster, what type of books did you read? Because I'm assuming you did.
Oh yes, big into mysteries. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes series. Agatha Christie, obviously. I used to read the Robin Kane mysteries. That's what got me started. Things like that. Those were written by Eileen Hill. Not a relative. I have an aunt with an exactly same name. There was just a bunch of different genres that I read that were all related to mysteries and basically moving forward and stuff. And then I got into other types of mysteries, but that was the linchpin in each book. That's the commonality with all of them, was there was a mystery. So I guess it's not much of a leap that you end up writing them.
That's right. Condo Crazy, Book 3 in your Musgrave Landing series. Now, it's interesting to note as a personal note, I know a person, well, that lots of people live on Salt Spring Island, like Valdy and Randy Backman. A woman I worked with at CFAX Radio in Victoria years ago has lived there for 9 years, and a whole bunch of people all of a sudden that I used to work with in radio are moving to the Duncan area. What's the attraction, other than the fact it's on Vancouver Island?
I'm not sure. Possibly because there's more services in Duncan. There's and of course you can, like, if you work in that area, then it makes more sense for you, because even though it's only a 50K drive to Victoria, you are still going across the Malahat and whatnot, and there can be seasonal problems with that, and there can be bottlenecking and whatnot. So
Right.
it's I did it for 7 years, trying to get from Duncan to the Victoria airport, because I flew into Saskatchewan every other week for work. Yeah, so it's like, okay, one accident and everybody's backed up for 3 hours. So
Well, actually, these people are moving from the mainland and from Victoria up to the Duncan area. So the woman on Salt Spring is still there. Like, they're kind of estate managers for a big house, so it's kind of a cool job.
Nice.
Yeah. And speaking of the Malahat, just for people who don't know, that's kind of the main highway from up and down the island. And if you want to get anywhere from Victoria on up to Campbell River or points beyond or in between, you have to use the Malahat basically to get over the little hill. We were there in February of 2018. You'll remember all the snow that happened then, don't you?
Oh yes.
We got through the Malahat a half hour before they closed it. So otherwise we would have still been in Duncan, I think. So
Oh, I know, because it can get quite crazy. The issues with because you're going 1,300 feet elevation,
right
at the top of the Malahat. You get to the summit, traveling it, so you get a wonderful view. It's beautiful, but there can be twitchy road conditions.
Right. Well, actually, this is not a travelogue. This is Talking Books and Stuff podcast.
Well, it kind of leads into another series that I write.
Oh, tell us about that one.
Those are the Adam Norcross mysteries. And the first book in that series came out just this past July in 2021. And at one point, the name of that novel is called The Wrong Words. At one point it was called Death on the Malahat, because that's where the poor unfortunate person that is the center of our story meets his demise.
So, but then you switched the title. All right. So, Death on the Malahat, like Death on the Nile and stuff like that.
Yeah, kind of. But it was too. Yeah, my publisher said, I think you need something a little more different than that. So
okay. So
we did. We chose something. We chose The Wrong Words.
Okay, we're talking with Yvonne Rediger about the Musgrave Landing Mysteries. Condo Crazy is the latest one. It's out probably right now, and but you seem to be quite prolific. So, what are your writing habits, Yvonne?
I like to get in at least 2 or 3 hours a day, usually in the morning. Sometimes I'll get a little bit more in the evening, but usually it's first thing in the morning for a couple hours. Usually I can get between 1,000 and 1,500 words in, and then once I've got my first draft down, then it's just a matter of going back and tweaking the story, making sure everything's solid. I have a storyboard for every mystery, because for me, as an analyst, I need to know that everything falls into the right place for those puzzle pieces, so that you can actually build the mystery and get your clues ahead of time. Now, whether you recognize the clues or not, that's up to the reader. But, yeah.
So that leads me to my next one, because I was going to ask if you plot out your work, because some people do and some don't. So,
well, I know there's key milestones in each one. In each chapter, I know what's going to happen to a certain extent. But then there's a lot of reforming. So I'm kind of a hybrid writer, a little bit of a pantser, a little bit of a plotter. But yeah, I still, like I say, I still like a structure. I like to know that a certain goal is going to be accomplished in each chapter.
And this is Yvonne Rediger, but we're going to lead to another one here, which is actually how we reconnected, because we did talk to Yvonne a while back, and fooling around on Twitter one day, I ran across AP Author with a tagline that said, "Traditional author who can tell you what no one else will tell you about writing and how to get published." And I didn't know that was you.
Yep. I actually put together a series of lessons for new writers, for beginner writers and stuff, and that came out of working with the writing group at the Cowichan Library in Duncan, and from there it was just like things how to even self-edit, how to figure out what works in a book, what doesn't work. Like we used to be able to head hop, and you know what that is. That's where you have everybody's thoughts. Say there's 4 people in a room, and you'll know what each person's thinking. That's called head hopping. Now, traditional publishers don't care for that, and it can confuse the reader. So, just showing people how to stick to that, but you can switch points of view and how you do it, and that kind of thing. But in a coordinated way, in an organized way, things like that. And then also too, how to self-edit. Once you've got your basic draft done, what are the steps? Like for me, minimum, I'll go over the entire draft 10 times minimum. And like the first time, once it's all down, it's like, okay, are my locations clear? What the time of year? The seasonal things that go on there. What was the weather like? What was the what scents come to the protagonist, that kind of thing. And then later on, sharpen up all your dialogue and all that kind of stuff. So it's a layering process.
So are you saying then that for the average or for most writers, the first draft you bang it out and then the hard work begins? Is that sort of what the deal is?
Yeah. Yes. I did find that a lot of people thought they had to have it all figured out. You have to have it all figured out before you even start either typing it up so that you're building your file on your computer or writing it down in your journal, whatever it is, and you don't. I mean, write the scenes that come to your head first. You can reorganize them later, and you can fix it later. You just have to keep track of them. But there's different. It's like how people learn. Some people are visual learners. Some people are technical learners. Some people are more triggered by text. It all depends, right? So I think writing is kind of the same way. For as many ways as there are to learn things, there's as many ways to write things.
And the Twitter handle is AP Author 1. Is that what it is? Yep. Sounds right. Okay, it's at AP Author 1. 1 is in the number, not light writing out the word. So people should follow you, and then maybe they can get some better tips on what they're doing. Is that the idea? That's the idea. I like to put in because of course you're limited with the amount of text that's there. What I am doing is putting all those lessons together in one volume, because before they were separate. But now I'm gonna correlate it all into one volume, and then throw it up for 99 cents or something on self-published, so that people can just pick it up and have the whole thing. I include examples like there's that one thing, and everybody's heard this in writing: show, don't tell. Yes. So. Yes. Well, what does that really mean? What does that really mean? Well, yeah. So I have examples and stuff in it, so that it helps people understand what is meant by that, like using words visually. Yeah. Well, I call it the opening sentence of Condo Crazy. Arnie Birch squinted a glare at the Monday morning ferry. So you don't tell us it's sunny, but you kind of get the idea that it's a bright day, or that there's sunshine bouncing off the water, or something has to make him squint. So it's not just saying he looked out at a sunny beach. So is that kind of the thing?
Right.
Yep. And it wasn't
very, very similar. Yes.
It wasn't what he saw through the cafe window which made him frown. What does make him frown? It was the persistence of a bad feeling.
That too, but feeling? Also Arlie's a bit of a curmudgeon as well. So
trouble was coming. He could feel it. Well, I like curmudgeons, so that's fine.
Well, I love them. They're the most fun things to write.
We were watching a show the other night, and I've always been talking about curmudgeons and villains, and it must be fun, just to change the topic completely, to play a villain in a movie or TV show, because you get all the best lines, and you get to be blown up real good at the end, so it must be fun.
Yeah. Like I can imagine, like Jeffrey Rush in Pirates of the Caribbean. He had the best line.
Oh, right. The best. Yeah. That's right. Tips when people ask you how to be a writer, are there some basic tips you pass on without even getting into your lessons on your Twitter handle and stuff? Just basic tips to pass on to everybody.
Mm-hmm. Well, the first one is you actually have to have something down on the page. You really do just got to spend some time at it, and it doesn't have to be good. Don't expect it to be good. It won't be good. Just get something down, because you can go back and change it.
You can. That's why they invented erasers.
That's right. Or backspace now.
Right. And again, now you're a published author, and most of your books come from BWL. Is that right?
Yes. I also have another publisher in Oregon, and that is Black Opal Books, and they publish my romantic suspense and my urban fantasy series, Six Shapeshifters.
So, how many books altogether do you have with your name on them up on your bookshelf?
10.
10? Well,
10.
That's okay, to say the least.
Yeah. I published 3 last year.
Holy smokes! I wrote 3 pages last year, so there. Right.
Well, okay. I did a lot last year. Haven't done so much this year. I'm plugging away at it, but I'm not as prolific as I was last year.
And the hardest lesson you had to learn as I'll call it a professional writer?
I'd say patience. You really gotta be patient with people. If you give your text over, your manuscript to somebody to read, let them have it. Don't be bugging them to get back to you right away, because they won't. They can't if they're really gonna go through it for you, because you need somebody that's gonna be honest with what you've written. They're called beta readers. So for your beta reader, you want that person that says, "Yep, your butt looks fat in those jeans."
Oh, gotcha. So, like, the honesty is the best policy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Yvonne Rediger, we've got the Muscarive Landing mysteries right now, currently, with Condo Crazy, the current one. So what's next? Or do you know what's next?
Oh, yes. Condo Crazy comes out in March of this year. And then April of next year will be the second in the Out of Norcross series, and that one's called The Right Road.
There you go.
And that one is Yeah, and most of that one takes place mostly here in Saskatchewan, this part of Saskatchewan.
I was just going to ask if you're starting to move from the West Coast settings to more of a flatland prairie settings, even though it's not flat here, as everybody knows who's lived here for more than a day and a half. So.
Yep. I always tell people, leave the number 1 highway.
Yeah. Well, more than half the province is up north of Prince Albert, right? And it's nothing but forests and lakes and hills and stuff.
Exactly.
So,
it's beautiful, and everybody should get up at least to the parks in PA at least once.
Yep. In fact, we went up twice this year, so planning again next year. Yep. So that's great. Okay, well, say hello to your mother, John Havilange, for us next time you see her. And
I sure will.
It's about time we had a chat with her. Yvonne Rediger has been with us today. Yvonne, good luck, and thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for visiting with us today. This is Talking Books and Stuff with Dennis Rimmer. Contact him at dennis@talkingbooks.tk. Thank you, and may all the good news be yours. Oh, and don't forget to check out his book, The Great Canadian Notebook, available across Canada and at Amazon.ca.